All right, what's up, everyone? Let's dive into mood disorders. I'm trying to think of the best way to introduce mood disorders other than just the importance of how common mood disorders are. So don't quote me on this, I can't cite it right now, but depression, which is a mood disorder, is projected to be the #1 most diagnosed medical condition in all of America. Currently, it's #2. It's going to bypass heart disease, cancer, all that stuff. It's the #1 most diagnosed behavioral health condition, but we're now thinking it's going to be the #1 across the board. So what does that say about the world that we're living in? Why are we having a propensity to dive into depressive episodes? Get to kind of think about the world that we live in. My lens on depression, really everything with behavioral health, is that our bodies and minds react for a reason. There tends to be a function to why we are doing certain things. If we think about our earliest ancestors, if they went out and they were hunting, and say they got into a scrap with another tribe, or there's a saber-toothed tiger that attacks them, and they barely make it out alive. So they go back to their tribe, completely overwhelmed, just needing to break. So the mind sends a message to the body. You need to relax, you need to recover, you're probably not gonna have the energy to socialize, you may not want to eat, you may not want to eat a lot. It's gonna force you to go back, unwind, recover. And maybe after a week or so, you're good to go, you can get back out there. Depression is exactly that, except it becomes dysfunctional in the sense where it's impairing you to live the life that you want to live. There's nothing wrong with taking breaks. Sometimes we don't want to talk. Sometimes we isolate. Sometimes we just feel kind of blah. I like to say depression's it's like tofu. It's just, I'm living, but I don't really taste. It's not exciting. I'm just blah. But when it becomes dysfunctional, so it's stopping you from getting out of bed, it's impairing you from doing your job, it's impairing you from managing your relationships, that's when it becomes diagnostic. And if you think about the world that we live in with all the stress, the responsibilities, at some point, it's going to have an impact on our mind and in our body. So we are susceptible to depression. The likelihood of every human being having a depressive episode is incredibly high. You may have had one. I can definitely say I've had a depressive episode in my life because life is hard. And so how do we go through that? This week, mood disorders go beyond depression. Depression is obviously the most popular one, but there's different types. Focusing solely on depressive episodes, we've got different specifiers. We got our mild, moderate, and severe depressive episodes. We'll dive more into that. There's major depression, which technically we can diagnose after a couple weeks. Then there's persistent depression, which has been going for a long time. We can have dysthymia, where you're just overall just have a general just kind of blah, apathetic, just ugh, it's that tofu type of thing. Other mood disorders include a lift in mood. So we've heard about bipolar, which is incredibly misunderstood in the world. But bipolar entails what we call mania, where we have such a lift in mood where we're not sleeping, we become reckless, we feel like we can do everything in the world. Or it could be bipolar 2, where we have a manic episode, then we drop down into a depressive episode. There's a whole bunch of examples here, and I just want you to familiarize yourself with that stuff as much as possible. That being said, I hope you also find it very interesting. Depression, mood disorders in general, they require a lot of what is going on in your day-to-day process. Mood disorders are how do you manage your life today? And for depression, which you'll likely see a lot, one of my favorite things to do is ask the client in front of me, what's the logo or the saying for Nike? It's just do it. Depression requires that we do a lot of cognitive work because our minds do beat us up, but setting those SMART goals that we talked about before to just climb out as much as we can. I hope you found this video really interesting. That's fun.